Tonight, Port Lincoln police frustrated by a spate of drink driving in the city. And Broken Hill house prices the cheapest in New South Wales.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. It's been a busy 2 weeks for Air and Western Police, with a string of drink drivers and break-ins. Police say it's not good enough, renewing calls for residents to simply do the right thing.
From home invasions to drink drivers, police have had their hands full.
Patrols have been stopping a number of cars and they've been getting positive results.
This month alone, more than 5 drink drivers have been caught across Port Lincoln. A 35-year-old woman recording the highest blood alcohol level, a staggering 6 times over the limit. While patrols were left shaking their heads after nabbing a drink driver with a 16-year-old child in the back seat.
It's always wise to have a zero breath alcohol content when driving, because at least that way then we know that people are going to be safe on the roads.
Home break-ins and a servo robbery also keeping detectives busy.
The number of breaks that we're having at the moment are no different than what we would have in any other time of the year. It just seems to be at the moment that it's a lot more publicised than what it has been probably in the past.
The most recent case was this peeping Tom in Ungara. This hooded thief caught on security vision sneaking around the property, peering inside the home's windows. Meanwhile, witnesses at Tulka have been praised for notifying authorities of suspicious behaviour, which led to the arrest of a 14-year-old boy.
You know, if they see someone hanging around that shouldn't be hanging around, to let police know, so that way then we can then go to those locations and make sure that the community is safe.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
New COVID-19 measures for interstate travellers arriving at Adelaide Airport have been rolled out today. Anyone entering into the state will be required to scan a self-check-in code upon their arrival. QR codes will also be filtered out across the terminal, while a paper record will be available for people who don't have a smartphone. SA Police say the beefed-up security measures will help contact tracers in the event of an outbreak. Broken Hill has been named as one of the cheapest places in New South Wales to purchase a home, with weekly repayments averaging less than $100. Experts say prices can only go up, with properties turning over at double the usual rate.
This Gypsum Street home was just sold for around $100,000. That figure now the average amount buyers spend on just a deposit.
Our median price is only about $115,000. So all you need is a 10% deposit.
New data from CoreLogic and Aussie Home Loans has found Broken Hill to be one of the cheapest places in New South Wales to purchase a home.
$96 per week mortgage repayments, as opposed to a normal weekly rent of $250, for example.
Those prices are expected to continue climbing. COVID-19 lifestyle changes and travel restrictions inflating regional house costs.
Yes, we are reaching the listing price, if not above. If that keeps up, prices will still keep going north.
In Broken Hill, more than 120 properties have already sold this year. That's twice the usual amount.
Stock on the market has remained relatively low because people who would otherwise make the move to cities haven't really done so.
I alone have sold well over 25 properties to people moving into Broken Hill because it's so cheap.
And with interest rates at record lows, Broken Hill isn't the only town where you'll save money as a homeowner.
If you can get over that deposit hurdle, property ownership may actually be more viable at the moment.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
More than 300,000 snapper fingerlings have now been released in South Australia's waters in a desperate bid to replenish critically low stocks. Despite many fishermen welcoming the program, concerns have been raised over whether they will survive.
It's been 2 days since 150,000 baby snapper were released off Port Pirie shores and the boat continues to rock. The local mayor attended round 2 of the releasing and is remaining hopeful it could be the answers anglers are desperately waiting for.
Talking to all of the PIRSA guys and the research scientists, you just see the passion in their eyes of just what they want to do. You know, growing fingerlings and introducing them back to the wild, particularly getting the fingerlings from this area, is just fantastic.
However, the chairperson of Whyala's Marine Fishers isn't convinced, claiming spawning programs haven't worked with other species.
Bred in captivity and they're not allowed to release them back into the wild. How then are we able to actually breed snapper, which are a saltwater species, not a freshwater species, in captive and release them back into the wild?
He says the funds should have been utilised elsewhere.
I'd rather that they'd spent $500,000 on something we can see the value for.
It's not going to be known for a number of years how many from the program will survive, but some remain optimistic it will ensure the species is safe for generations to come.
Putting fingerlings back in, particularly freshwater, saltwater, that's going to preserve our future fishing.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Meanwhile, Port Lincoln could soon become home to the state's snapper breeding program, replacing the current site at West Beach. A recent release of more than 150,000 juvenile snapper at Whyala saw a high number of fatalities of the fish. It's hoped locating the breeding program closer to the region will help improve the odds of survival.
We need to look at all options, and that includes the possibility of doing the breeding over at the Port Lincoln facility rather than at West Beach in Adelaide.
If successful, the Port Lincoln facility will undergo several upgrades. Still to come tonight, the Port Pirie community coming together for suicide prevention. And new pieces of Whyala's shipbuilding history go on display. Welcome back. After a challenging 12 months, improving mental health in South Australia is being made a top priority. Regional residents are being encouraged to have their say on a new suicide prevention plan aimed at helping those who need it most.
A new 5-year plan to combat mental health issues could arguably be the most important yet. The member for Frome fears the worst is yet to come following an incredibly tough year for many.
The job seeker and the job keeper have now basically finished, and I don't think we've seen the real big issue of going forward with the pressures and the tsunami of what's going to happen to us.
An online survey is now open for community members to give their feedback.
A panel of experts who have knowledge in the areas of suicide prevention, but this year they've let it out to the entire community.
The Suicide Prevention Network in the Copper Coast is encouraging regional residents to have their say.
We may develop some strategies and ideas from seeds that people in the community with lived experience have planted.
There's also calls for the state government to support a new committee which would research mental health impacts.
A very, very tough year. I've got something in the Parliament at the moment looking for a select committee into COVID-19 and what's the state government got in progress in plan for the suicide prevention and dealing with the trauma of the COVID-19.
If you or someone you know needs help, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyala's Maritime Museum has launched a new exhibition as part of South Australia's History Month. This year's display, now open to the public, focuses on a range of pictures and artefacts from BHP's shipbuilding era.
Walking through Whyala's new history display, the city's Maritime Museum opening this year's new exhibition a few weeks early, commemorating a special annual event.
Statewide celebration of the history in South Australia, which is called South Australian History Month.
Run by History SA, museums across the state are getting involved.
Previously we had a navigation, which was the year before last year.
This year's exhibition focusing on BHP's Whyala shipyards. A range of pictures and artefacts are on display, including old news articles and cartoons from that era, ribbon from one of the official ship's opening ceremonies, and even an old calculator from the 1960s.
We already have a permanent section here in the museum about BHP shipbuilding, but it's more technical and it's all about the ships and how they were built, how many ships and so on.
The legacy of that era lives on just metres away from the museum, with HMAS Whyala, the very first ship the company built, located at the local visitor centre.
I was actually looking into utilising some objects from the depository. Every museum has got a lot of objects, in the storage.
The display will be open for the rest of the year. Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Presenters at a community radio station in Broken Hill have returned to the studio after broadcasting from home during the pandemic. Back on its feet, the group is now looking for volunteers to work behind the scenes and on the air.
Community radio back at the community centre.
Got some classic AC/DC.
The volunteers at 2 Dry FM have returned to the station after working from makeshift studios at their homes.
It's been difficult. I've been broadcasting from home for probably 12 months.
During that time, the group says it's been difficult to involve new members and share community stories without meeting in person.
You can get people come in and interview and, face to face. It's a better connection than over the phone line.
The station now hoping to put the community back in community radio, opening its doors to the public this Saturday.
Whilst we've kept local content, we haven't been out there connecting with the community as we'd like to do.
More than just a chance to meet the faces behind the mics, the station is also looking for local radio's next big star.
What we're doing is encouraging locals to be creators and tell their stories, because there's a lot of fascinating stories out there.
And for those who don't feel comfortable in front of the microphone, they say there's plenty of other roles behind the scenes.
Find out what they want and just get people involved.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Port Lincoln's footy community preparing for the return of the Mortlog Shield. And Wyler's Bennett Oval gets new cricket nets. The Red Cross Blood Bank will be returning to the Clare Valley during May, and residents are being encouraged to roll up their sleeves. There's a high demand for donations, with 1 in 3 people in Clare needing blood. Those with a bit of extra time on their hands are being urged to donate. The van will be in town from May the 12th to the 14th at the Valley Lifestyle Centre. Bookings can be made at donateblood.com. Plans to refurbish Wyler's Foreshore Cafe building have reached a new milestone. City Council have appointed Savills Adelaide director Rob Williamson to run an independent expression of interest for those interested in operating the revamped space. Council says that process is expected to begin in the coming weeks. Details will also be provided soon on how local businesses and interested parties can apply and get involved. Preparations for one of the nation's longest-running football carnivals are on track. The Mortlog Shield given the green light to return this June, after coronavirus forced organisers to axe last year's event.
Kicking off the countdown for one of the biggest sporting events on Eyre Peninsula's calendar.
It is a great opportunity to get people to come into Port Lincoln.
Despite being cancelled last year, the Mortlog Shield is set to come back bigger and better than ever, taking the spot as Australia's longest-running country sporting carnival. Held in June, last year's coronavirus-induced break has renewed local passions for the event.
After having the break last year, we've got that renewed enthusiasm, which is awesome.
5 teams will be competing in the event: Lincoln City, Lincoln District, Eastern Eyre, Great Flinders and Western Eyre, formerly known as Far West. With increased teams in each league, organisers say it should be anyone's game.
So everyone will have 4 games. They'll have 2 on Saturday and 2 on Monday. So it should make it really quite interesting.
The women's game will kick off the carnival on Saturday, while the Norwood Cup will be held on Sunday.
And you're seeing the future of Eyre Peninsula football there with our under-15s.
Tickets are available on the carnival's website.
We've had a lot of issues with fires, we've had a lot of issues with drought and a whole lot of other issues. So to come down in Port Lincoln and just socialise and play football, it's a great mental health weekend for everybody.
Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Wyler's Bennett Oval is receiving an additional upgrade, with new cricket nets now being installed. The South Australian Cricket Association providing a $30,000 grant for the project, set to be complete next month.
It's an upgrade the local Cricket Association is hailing as a win for the sport.
Look, it's another addition to the fantastic facilities that we've received here from Council and SACA.
Whyalla City Council partnering with SACA and Rupina to replace 2 warm-up cricket nets with 4 lanes.
It's just another commitment that the Whyalla Council's made to bringing first-class cricket to Whyalla.
Looking to have the new nets ready by next month, Council says the $30,000 project will help them lure the Sheffield Shield and Women's Big Bash fixtures, bringing high-level cricket to the city.
So these nets will be used by Rupina and some other cricket clubs for their trainings during the week, and it will also be open to the community outside of normal hours and over the weekend. So anyone from the community will be able to benefit from these cricket nets.
With the Oval recently receiving an upgraded change room facility and brand new Oval lighting, the installation of new nets has completed the upgrade. Mr O'Halloran encouraging residents to join a local cricket team.
Most of the clubs, individual clubs, do have Facebook pages and contact details, but if you go to My Cricket or the Blast Cricket, there are contact details there.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We will check the latest fuel prices and we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. Well, there's some welcome holiday relief at the Bowsers, with petrol prices dropping in many parts of our region. Lachlan Etta has the details in this week's Fuel Watch.
It's a bit of a school holiday bonus this week, with prices either going down or staying the course. Starting as always with unleaded, and there's not a single red arrow for our region this week. In fact, it's quite the opposite for Port Lincoln and Port Augusta. Prices have dropped there, but it's nothing groundbreaking. You'll pay $1.43 a litre, so those areas are still at the pricier end of the spectrum. Only Broken Hill tops that, where you'll pay $1.45. Nothing of note across the rest of the region, where prices are unchanged. $1.39 in Whyalla, $1.38 in Kadina, and Port Pirie's the envy of the region again this week, $1.35 there. Over to diesel, where it's a similar story, with prices going down across the EP. Whyalla's dropping a cent to $1.34. Port Lincoln's a blink and you'll miss it change to $1.35, and expect to pay $1.39 in Port Augusta. Port Pirie's unchanged at $1.32, but still the cheapest option. Broken Hill unchanged at $1.45, and the most expensive option. The only sour note comes for drivers in Kadina, but it's an increase of 1/10 of a cent and remains one of the more affordable places to fill the tank. Finally, to Autogas, where there's very little to talk about. Port Augusta, our only town where things have changed, but again, it's only a small jump to the higher end of 96 cents. Whyalla's the pick of the bunch, 88 cents there. Port Lincoln draws the short straw, where you'll pay 99 cents, 98 cents in Port Pirie, 95 in Kadina, and 92 in Broken Hill. Remember that these prices are the regional averages and do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do spot unleaded, diesel or Autogas cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Time to take a look at what's happening in the weather across the Spencer Gulf and Broken Hill. With all the latest details, here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John. Cloudy conditions across most of the region today. From 3 p.m, Port Pirie 22, Woodner 23, Cleve 21. Looking further out across the region now, possible shower in Cooper Pedy 22 degrees. It was a max of 24 in Port Augusta. Mostly sunny in Whyalla, reached 21 there. Kadina also partly cloudy 21. Partly cloudy in Port Lincoln and Kadina also 21 degrees. Broken Hill partly cloudy and 23. Clare partly cloudy 18 and Adelaide reached 20 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud crossing northern South Australia with a trough is causing patchy light rain. Low cloud over southern parts of the state in the wake of a front is bringing the odd light shower. Skies are clearer elsewhere with drier air. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. West to southwesterly winds 15 to 20 knots, easing to 10 to 15 knots late in the evening. Seas 1 to 2 metres, decreasing to 1.5 metres around midday, and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre. Now a peek at tomorrow's temperatures. Possible shower in Port Lincoln 22, Cleve and Woodner both partly cloudy, set to reach a high of 21, Whyalla partly cloudy 22. Similar conditions in Port Augusta 23, and a possible shower in Kadina, also 22 degrees there. Port Pirie 23, Clare partly cloudy and 19, and mostly sunny in Broken Hill, set to reach a high of 21 degrees there. Taking a look further through the week now, showers in 21 in Whyalla, Kadina and Port Lincoln on Friday. Partly cloudy conditions across the rest of the region. It's set to be a max of 23 in Cooper Pedy, Port Pirie, Woodner and Port Augusta. Heading into the weekend forecast now, sunny in the top half of the Gulf on Saturday, 25 the max in Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta 23, Broken Hill set to reach 20. Partly cloudy conditions across the rest of the Gulf, 24 the max in Woodner, and if you're heading to Adelaide, it's set to reach a high of 21 degrees there. And very similar conditions forecast for Sunday, sunny and 24 in both Cooper Pedy and Port Augusta. Broken Hill will reach 21 degrees, a max of 23 in Port Pirie, Whyalla and Port Lincoln, and it's set to be a possible shower in Adelaide, 22 degrees. So John, it appears that wild weather that hit us earlier this week is now behind us, with mild but calm conditions set for the rest of the week. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you.
Thanks, Alex, and that's the local news this Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow before the footy at the special time of 6:30 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.